Hi everyone, thank you. It's good to see you all here today. My name is Micallar Walker. I'm the founder of Dark Matter Marketing Agency, and we are a collaborative marketing agency that works to connect Black audiences with a variety of cinema projects, films and books. We do that through strategic partnerships, events and outreach work. And most recently, we've worked on the Akwaeke Emezi's best-selling debut novel, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. So today we're talking about authentic connection. And before we get started, I'm going to introduce my panel. So from left to right, we have Jessica Huie, MBE. She's a former publicist and founder of JHPR. Jessica is the author of Purpose, and also the founder of the Purpose Academy. Thank you. We have Sophia Jackson in the middle. Sophia is the editor and founder of Afrodiziak Theatre News, the UK's only website and online publication dedicated to Black theatre. Sophia is head of events for the Society of Authors and a Bookseller Rising Star in 2021. And we have Carolynn Bain, who is the founder of Afrori Books, a bookshop based in the heart of Brighton, with the biggest selection of books by Black authors in the UK. So please welcome my panel. So today we're delving into what it means to connect authentically. I'm going to say sorry now for overusing the words connect, authentic, real, but that's what we're talking about. It's how can we really resonate with audiences and get our messages across. First off, I'm going to ask Carolynn, before you, do you want to take a sip? I wanted you to tell us a little bit about who your audience is, your customer base, and any initiatives and partnerships that you've worked on recently that you felt have really connected with that audience.
Interesting. So my shop is in the heart of Brighton, and Brighton is a beige city. Can I say that? The demographic in Brighton is that there is less than the average in terms of Black people living in the city. So we're around 4%. Sorry, trying to think what the number was then. Around 4%. So I guess bigger picture is that Afrori Books was started in terms of the physical bookshop to do two things. One is to create a safe space for Black people in the city and people of colour, a place where they could come and not have to deal with the nonsense that goes on in the rest of the country, and where they could just feel comfortable, be away from microaggressions, and just feel comfortable and just, like the guy said, you know, breathe in, breathe out, let their shoulders slump.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a minor thing, but actually it's a big deal. I had a guy once came in and said to me, "Oh, I just exhaled. I didn't even know I was holding my breath." And that's why we're here. We're the place where people can exhale. We're also a place where, I guess, a one-stop shop where you can find the things that, you know, you're looking for, where people, non-Black people, can come and ask the questions they want to ask and find the books, and just, you know, burst their reading bubbles, I guess. So in terms of finding kind of connection, I would say at the present time, 70% of our customers are white.
Right.
40%, 70% and 40%, that's great maths.
My math.
And then there's another 400%, I know. 70% of our customers are white, 30% are not. And of that 30%, a lot of those come from London, who travel down to come to the bookshop, find the bookshop, etc. So when we talk about connecting with people, what we want to do is we want to burst people's reading bubbles. We want to change people's reading habits. We have a 3-point mission plan, which is support Black authors, create diverse bookshelves, and be a voice for injustice. A voice against injustice. Oh, sorry, tired brain. A voice against injustice. And so, you know, our first aim is, how do we support, how do we give a platform to Black authors? obviously a physical bookshop is a great way to do that, and getting people involved in reading and thinking about what they're reading and just changing those reading habits. So we run a lot of events. Some of that is because I was an event manager, and you just never take that hat off.
Yeah.
So we run a lot of events, and the reason my brain is a fuzzled mess this morning is because I've literally just came away from running Brighton Book Festival this weekend, which is the first Brighton Book Festival, which is outrageous. But we went in to create a book festival where marginalised voices were at the top across the roster. So not every other book festival I've ever been to has been white with one gay, one black, one disabled. Oh, we're diverse. And that's nonsense. And so we wanted to change that. I wanted to create a new template for book festivals. And so we created a book festival, to be honest, where 3 weeks ago we realised that we needed to find a token white man because there were no white men on the roster for our book festival. And actually it's quite hard to find a token white man that wants to sit in that company. I'm not even joking, So we did find one eventually.
And even to the point, I remember you saying you wanted to just not use the word literary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we were not having a literary festival. We had a book festival because when I was growing up as a child, authors were old white men who sat in wingback chairs. And actually, I think for a lot of young people, for a lot of people in lower economic groups, for a lot of children of migrants and ethnic groups, that is still what authors look like. And we need to change that. That's trash. That's just not the truth. And that's why, publishers and marketers, are afraid to publish black authors because they think that there's no audience for them. And there's a massive audience for them. And they're not a black audience. They're an audience. 70% of my customers are white. They are buying these books and they're asking for more and more and more of these books. So have I answered your question?
You have.
Great.
But maybe we'll come back to it. But I also wanted to hear about any kind of partnerships and initiatives that you've done recently that have really connected, because you do supper clubs, and there's also, you can do a workshop with kids to create their own soundtrack.
Yes, so at the book festival we do supper clubs, which is literally a meal at my house with an author, where we have 8 guests, and it's the most phenomenal experience ever. And anyone who's got an author and wants to talk to me about that, please come and see me. At the book festival, I wanted to look at ways that we connect young people with literature. And so what we did is we went to a local college in Brighton that dealt with marginalised young people, and we gave them a book, which is Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. And we asked them to create soundtracks for that book. So a chapter, the whole book, a character, whatever they wanted to do. And then what we did is at the book festivals, we had a showcase. And in that showcase, we had Shannon come and read excerpts from her book over these soundtracks that these young people had produced. Most of these young people have never seen a black author before. We had an event a couple of weeks ago for 7 to 11-year-olds with an author. And one of my regular children came in, and there's always that kid who doesn't know how to talk in a normal voice, right? You know that kid. I was that kid, okay? They always shout. And the author's sort of there, and this kid says, Carolynn, where's the author? And I said, there. And he looked and went, that's not an author. And I said, yeah, it is. And I had to get the book and show him the book. And then he went, what? Because he's never seen a black author before.
Yeah.
A 7-year-old child in 2022 has never seen a black author. That's disgusting. That's not, it's funny, but it's disgusting. It's shameful. And we should not be in that place. We really shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree. Sophia, follow on from that.
Bringing it back to theatre. So during the pandemic, I joined a WhatsApp group called Dope Black Mums, and there was a safe space for black mums to talk about their experiences. And then as we came out of the pandemic, I realised that what we needed to do was, what Afrodiziak Theatre News needed to do was collaborations and to get people going back to the theatre. And so I collaborated with Dope Black Mums, and we do a monthly meetup. We offer discounted tickets, and it's first come, first served. We go and watch a play together, then we meet in the bar and we discuss the play, we get to meet the cast, and we take photos. So that's how we connect with our audiences. And our audience for Afrodiziak Theatre News is basically anybody who enjoys going to the theatre but wants to see a black playwright, basically. And it's been going for 14 years. There are other websites similar, but we are the pioneers, basically. And we have listings, we have reviews, we have interviews. We've got a YouTube channel, and yeah, it's for anybody who enjoys going to the theatre but wants to see black theatre, basically.
And have you found that do the productions seek you out, or do you go propose the meetups to them? How does that work?
We have, it's both ways. Sometimes there's a play that I think this would be great for a collaboration, and then sometimes a theatre that we've worked with come back and say, we really liked working with you. Would you be interested in doing a meet-up for this particular production?
And I think it's really similar to the work that I do with Dark Matter. It's about bringing in those social elements to the events and making sure, people have been locked away for 2 years, and I think that's why the meetups really work.
Yeah, and I think sometimes maybe you don't have anyone in your social circle that likes going to the theatre. I still know so many black people who don't think the theatre is for them. So if you want to come by yourself, at least you can come and meet other people who do enjoy going to the theatre. But yeah, there's a lot to be done to dispel the myth that theatre is for white middle class people only.
Yeah. Okay. Jessica, I love your book. And one of a quote that really stood out for me is, "Pretense is exhausting. There's a selfless power in honest sharing that radiates at the highest frequency." I think that's really powerful. And I wondered if you can tell us a bit about your journey with Authentic Connection and how that's led you from a career in publicity to writing purpose.
Yeah, it's a busy afternoon, everybody. It's a big journey. I guess where I've arrived is that, and we don't have enough time, but where I've arrived is that there's, in relation to books specifically, I guess it's as I said earlier when we were chatting, there are sort of two camps, I guess, that we can fall into when it comes to promotion. And one is visibility or publicity for the sake of publicity. And the other is where there is a genuine message. And I speak as somebody who's written a non-fiction book, but I would imagine, I haven't written a novel, but I'd imagine it's the same for novelists. There are themes, there's something that the author wants to get across.
Yeah.
And that is the objective. And so in that camp, publicity, the objective of the publicity or the visibility is to share that, is to communicate that. And I think, my own experience, I've sort of forgotten what the question was, but my own experience has been from coming from a world where the goal was the visibility, right? The publicity for the sake of publicity, which meant having to kind of shape shift into often working with platforms that didn't share that value system, your value system, that the communication of your message was not their objective. And to give you an example, if I think about, in the journey of writing purpose, in one of my former lives, as a celebrity publicist, I had a period working with Meghan Markle. And so when the first edition of Purpose was coming out with Hay House, I was very clear, and they were amazing, and we were always very much on a page, which is why, I published with them. And it was like, I don't want to talk about, at that time, 2018, as you can imagine, if I'd been willing to sort of impart all sorts of information from that working relationship, I'm sure we could have garnered excuse my language, but a shitload of publicity, right? I didn't want to. The book was so meaningful to me. It evolved from my journey with grief, caring for my dad. And even that aside, it's not who I am. And so I was very clear that if it was contextual, I was happy to go there, but the message must not be lost at the cost of securing headlines around Meghan Markle. And some publications will really get that.
Yeah.
And platforms will really get that and be aligned with that, and others won't. And it's being willing to let go, actually, of the opportunities that aren't aligned to stand for what's important to you. Because the reality is, I think about a particular broadsheet newspaper I did an interview with in good faith. My publicist had good faith. And when it came out, the headline was, I told Meghan Markle what it's like to be mixed race in the UK, which is not what I said at all. And, I felt sick. And she was like, God, I'm so sorry, And of course it didn't connect. It didn't sell any books because it was completely misaligned with the message of the book, and the whole energy was just completely off. And so I guess it's really being very clear about what's most important, and then consciously, intentionally choosing partners or media outlets that share that value system and objective, and letting go of anything that isn't. And sometimes that means you don't get the headlines, and that's okay too.
Yeah, thank you. Sophia, we can learn a lot about, a lot from other industries, and I've worked in the film industry for many years and found that a lot of the methods I used for marketing campaigns in film translate really well into publishing. So I wondered, have you seen a shift in the theatre world in how the production marketers and publicists approach you and work with you?
I'm super busy at the moment. I mean, we've always had a steady stream of theatres approaching us, but now they're really seeing the value of working with a black publication to reach the audiences that they need to. They're doing more special offers, so more £10 tickets, £12 tickets, £15 tickets to get the audiences in, and also just to make theatre more accessible, because a lot of reasons why people don't go to the theatre is because tickets are astronomical, particularly if it's the West End. But through us, you can get a West End show ticket for a very reasonable price. So yeah, there's definitely a shift in making theatre more accessible.
And were those offers not being offered before?
They were, but they're more often now,
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, interesting. Carolynn, can you tell us about how you work with publishers? And I'd also love to know the best bits and the most challenging bits of working with publishers, according to you.
I have a microphone. Yeah, a lot of challenges. When we first started, we started as an online bookshop, and I wrote to big four or five, we'll say, and said, "Hi, I'm Carolynn, Afrori Books, specialise in black authors. Can you send me a list of your black authors?" And they all said no. Every single one said, "No, we can't do that." Some said just no, and there was nothing else. It was a paragraph. And a couple said, "Well, actually, we don't keep a record of who's black on our books." Now, I am a skeptic because I'm a black woman living in Britain. And, I think that the key reason not to keep a record and not to know this information is because then what I can see very clearly by just spending hours and scrolling through the pages is that it's less than 1%, and who wants to admit that? So, it's been a big challenge. I think that there was I think that black women aren't taken seriously in this country across most industries that we work in. It's just like, yeah, that'll see how that lasts. It's just like a side note, but, I get off the train here today and I walk past the Windrush Monument.
Yeah.
And then I get out and you know, on average, walking through London, walking through a busy street, I cannot count. It probably works out about every maybe 10, 15 seconds that someone walks into me. Now, some people go, well, that's the norm. Think about it, actually, because it's not the norm. And when I talk to my white friends, it's not the norm. And there is a thing in this country that black women are actually invisible. They're not seen. They don't really exist. So they're ignored in so many ways. And that's a whole bigger subject. But then for a black woman moving into publishing, you know, and if we look across this room is dominated by white women. Mm-hmm. We're invisible. You know, we're not taken seriously. We're not considered in the same way that our white peers would be considered. And so when I go to a publisher and ask certain questions, I can see the difference in the responses. I have friends in the industry who are white and they don't get the same kind of responses that I get when I ask things, when I look for things, even just in lots of different ways. So, but I would say that, you know, as time has gone on, there's been a lot of talk about Afrori books, and because of the things we do in the Brighton Book Festival and all of these kind of things, and traction comes along a bit more. People are like, oh, I see. Oh, right, you're still here. Yeah. And so there has been, you know, some better conversations. There have been emails that have made me laugh, where people have introduced themselves, and I can look back and see, you know, a chain and go, actually, I spoke to you 2 years ago and you fobbed me off, but okay, fine, we'll start again. And yeah, we have had better responses from smaller independent publishers. Yeah. And there, you know, it sounds like doom and gloom. I've lived in a wonderful bubble, honestly, for the past 3 days of being in Brighton Book Festival, of being around diverse authors and publishers and publicists who are passionate about seeing this industry change. And then, you know, it's Monday morning, you wake up and you go, all right, oh yeah, real word, here we go again. So yeah, there are good stories there, and there is change, but I know I'm in this for the long haul. You know, I said to my kids when I started the bookshop, my children are all grown up, and I said to them, you know, my dream is that you do not inherit this business, that we just don't need to exist. I shouldn't need to exist. This isn't right that I'm here. And it's a weird kind of Frankenstein version of imposter syndrome, because I shouldn't exist. I shouldn't have to exist in that sense, but I do. And so I know it's a slog, and I'm in it for the long haul. And I do believe that change is coming. It's just really slow. Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about Dark Matter, because our focus is on black audiences. I feel that I hope there's going to be a time very soon when people won't have to reach out to me because they need to reach black audiences, that it's actually a part of your campaigns and that it's something that you're thinking about from the very beginning. And then Dark Matter can evolve and become even more creative and do even more exciting things, because I'm not having to focus on only reaching the audience. That's something that I hope for Dark Matter. Excuse me. Sophia, if you could you tell us a little bit about feedback? Because I'd like to hear a happy story about how, you know, when your campaigns have really hit home and resonated, and you've felt that.
Well, usually I don't hear from the theatres unless nobody has booked the offer, then it's really awkward. But that doesn't happen very often. But this weekend, actually, Oklahoma finished at the Young Vic, and someone had tagged us in a video and a picture, and I reposted it, and I was like, oh, thanks very much for sharing. And then they DM'd back to say, no, thank you so much for the offer, because I wouldn't have been able to afford to go had you not put this in your newsletter. My friend's on your mailing list, and she booked the tickets for us. So thank you. So, yeah.
That's lovely. And I'm just going to, Josh, you're probably going to hate this, but Josh over there from Faber, I've just recently worked on the Akwaeke Emezi's book, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, and I cannot tell you how full my email inbox was and my DMs after that event, just from black women saying thank you for the opportunity to congregate, and we had such a wonderful time, and just so many stories, so many thank yous. So thanks, Josh. That was great. I think we've got 5 more minutes, and then we're going to go over to audience questions. Jess, were there any particular outlets that you felt were more open to collaborating on a real level? And also, can you think of any campaigns that really hit home?
For me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm off the back of, this isn't a media platform, but if we're talking about partnerships, Friday night at the Barbican, in partnership, in collaboration with We Are Parable. I mean, I think there's a really wonderful opportunity to get really creative about how we share our message or how we communicate the themes from books. And so for me, I wanted the book is purpose, and I want to us, it's really about, for me, purpose isn't about this big lofty thing that we're here to create. It's actually about coming more of who we already are and getting rid of the masks we wear and all the stuff that stands between us being, all the stuff that we are not. And part of that is having vulnerable conversations, and because within those vulnerable conversations, which are often very uncomfortable, lies the opportunity for connection. And so for me, on Friday night, in collaboration with We Are Parable, who are a fantastic organisation, really spotlighting and championing black filmmakers, and the Barbican, this coming together and having 240 people in a room, black men talking about having therapy, us talking about relationships, and it was just so beautiful and so powerful, and I was really just utterly encouraged by the contribution of the Barbican, who really got it, or the specific team, because let's face it, it's not the platform, it's the people within the platforms, isn't it? And so it's about who we connect with, and I guess, where they are at. And obviously there's leadership, which ripples into the running of the media outlets and the partners, which, is real.
But Jess, it speaks volumes for the Barbican that, We Are Parable are their creatives in residence.
Yeah.
So that means that they're going to open the door for so many people to come in and share black stories with their audience. Yeah. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and actually one of the team afterwards from the Barbican came over, and she just said, it felt very purposeful for us, and that's the point. Like, how do we keep the integrity, not just in the message, but in the activation of the message? Yeah. That's so important, because it's felt by the audience, it's felt by the potential customer, it's felt. We're at a time now where we are much more attuned to what's real and what's not, what's authentic and what's not. So there really is only one direction to go in. Yeah. And if you're uncomfortable about it, personally do the work, so that when you are ready to start to, collaborate, it's real, and it's a much more fulfilling experience for all of us.
Absolutely.
I was going to say that I did a talk recently I did a provocation. That's always a funny thing to do, isn't it? And I was talking to a group of creatives in Brighton, and I was just talking about this word collaborate, and just saying that I'm fed up of actually hearing the word collaborate, because so often it has meant, let's just talk about the thing that no one's ever going to do. And so my challenge to you, which was my challenge to them, was to collaborate, to do something more, to put an action behind the words that you're saying, and make something happen, to be brave and bold, like the Barbican, like Dope Black Mums, like these groups that are just saying, actually, I'm not just going to talk about it, I'm going to take the step. Because actually, so much of what we don't do is about our own cowardice, our own fears, our own worries about our reputations and our egos. And actually, it's so unnecessary. All of the amazing things that have ever happened since the dawn of time have been because of brave people. Because someone just said, it doesn't matter what people think of me. It doesn't matter what I look like after this. You know, loads of people told me I couldn't put on a book festival in 6 months. Well, so what if I can't? So what? So what if I put on a book festival and me and my kids and the other bookshop and her friends come? So what? Lisa did it, and then next year I'll do it better. This year I'll go, oh, trash that. We'll do it again next year. You know, we're here because of all the failures, because all the things that we didn't do right, because all the times we cocked it up, you know. So that there's no superhumans here. We can all do that. We can all be those people.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun. Can I say something very quickly that just struck me? It's like, this is actually how, on a very personal level, we are able to, like, sort of respond to what's going on in the news. You know, somebody came over after the event on Friday at the Barbican, and I was doing a book signing, and she said, it was so nice to just walk in here today after the national news, and this separation, which is so palpable out there. She's like, it was like being in a bubble because there was no separation in this news, in this room. It was a room full of black, white, Asian people, black men, and we were so connected. And this is how we can, this is what we can do. And it's really good for us. So let's do it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, agree. I think we're going to open up to questions. Has anyone got a question?
Water, I'll reach over you.
Don't be shy. Oh, one at the back.
Thank you. And now the nerves. Hi, thank you all so much. I think you said some really important things that we can definitely take away. My question is that question statement, and let's see what happens in it. So one thing we don't really talk about in the publishing industry is the fact that it's an industry. And even though we're all here doing like fancy campaigns and this is fun, there are businesses that are being run, sales targets that need to be hit, and that is the base and like the benchmark for everything that we do. That's why I have a marketing budget. That's why people are expected to make a certain number of sales. So while we've had lots of conversation about the passion behind like storytelling and championing like diverse authors, what would you say to a room of about 150 marketers, publicists, as advocates in their various top 5 or indies? You know, not all our books hit those targets. Some books exceed them and cover the books that flop, essentially. So where we're discussing, as we've just, you know, we've mentioned, beyond those sales, where actually our stories as Black people and Black matter, and we need to kind of propel them. What would you say to a room full of people that mostly are allies, I hope? It's still publishing. I need to shut up, man. But what would you say to this room of people that actually have an opportunity here to hear from all 4 of you and all the different ways in which you engage in books, publishing, the arts as an industry, and of course Black audiences?
Well, I'll go first. I mean, I would say that find the experts, find the experts that relate to the subject matter of the book. Work with experts, work with agencies like Dark Matter, work with agencies like We Are Parable, work with people who have the lived experience. If your workforce doesn't mirror the stories that you're trying to tell, go and seek them out, find them, trust in their experience. You know, I have over 18 years experience in marketing, and I've worked with some publishers who have tried to handhold and micromanage, and I think it's really important to have a good period of time at the start where you can brief in what you're looking for and have clear guidelines and times to check in, but just let experts get on with it and do the work that they know how to do. And that's my advice.
I think that the publishing industry is one of the funniest industries, honestly. excuse my ignorance and my naivety, but it seems so backwards, okay? Like, you're...
Speak your mind, Kat. don't hold back.
I warned Micallar, I said, listen,
hold back.
I am tired, which means tact has gone out of the window, okay? So you're getting raw Carolynn. You decide that that you're going to go for a book, but you don't ask the booksellers what their customers want to buy. That's weird. Like, what other industry works like that? So you think, okay, this is what's going to sell. But booksellers are saying, actually, this is what people are looking for. I'll tell you that what my customers are looking for is Black British YA books, predominantly written by Black men with Black male protagonists. There is a massive depletion in this. They're just not there, okay? But that's not what anyone's sending me. But that's what my customers ask me every single day for these books. But no one's talking to the booksellers, and I find that bizarre, so bizarre. And, why does a book sell? I spent last night with, I'm going to say her name wrong, the author of The Khan. You know this book, The Khan? Now, by her own admission, this book has gone through the roof. But the reason it's gone through the roof, after 9 years of sitting on a shelf because nobody would touch it, is because one agent managed to push it in the right place, and because Waterstones have decided to make a big deal of it. So you walk into Waterstones and it's there. There's a wall of it. And now, by her own admission, it's not the greatest book that's ever existed this year, but somebody has just decided that this is what they're going to push. So there is no real... there isn't really a formula for this, is there? The true formula is talk to booksellers, talk to the people on the ground, and, talk to them about what customers actually really want, and what you put your money behind is what sells, I will say, because it's raw Carolynn, Richard Osman's book is mediocre, okay? It is. And if you wanted to ever catch the rage of Mrs. Bain, okay, it was last year when someone said this was the book of the year. I was like, what the heck? Have you read what's been out there this year? Okay, but what happened to Richard Osman is you all spent a load of money marketing a book and then went, look at that, it sold. Well, of course it did. If you spend a load of money on something, the chances of it selling are very high. So spend a load of money on Black authors. I'm biased, I admit it, but do, because there are audiences for them. Take the risks, do a little bit more legwork, get out there, get out on the ground and go and meet some booksellers and do some market research and say, what are your customers looking for? Because when I talk to booksellers, it's pretty much the same across the ground. I talk to booksellers in Scotland and their customers are looking for the same things that my customers are looking for.
Okay. Sophia or Jess?
I'll be brief. I would say to put some spend behind the author. I was at Micallar's Faber Times Dark Matter Fall of Death event. They held it in Brixton, so they went to the community. There was Caribbean food, there was an African collage workshop, there was spoken word. It was a whole day. It was a fully immersive experience. They had round table, so a bookseller of colour that was there. There was a whole selection of beautiful books. It was like stepping into Jamaica. It was there were palm trees. It was a really beautiful experience. It's not that I've been to lots of book events. I've been to no other book event that was so immersive that literally filled my soul. And if you go onto social media, #Fall of Death, and you'll see all of the beautiful posts, like Black people felt included, Black women felt included. So think about your audience, think about how you're going to reach the audience, think about what your audience likes, and work with
budget.
Yeah, but basically you do need a budget. I don't know how that translated to sales, but I saw many people walking away with the book, and there was a limited edition book there as well. So make the event exclusive, make it special.
I think you guys have pretty much summed it up. But yeah, resource, not just money, time and energy, and like genuine desire and interest in doing something a little bit different, stepping away from, I guess, the obvious, what's it called? What's the opposite to the underdog?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right.
Yeah. Stepping away from that. Are there any other questions from the audience? Oh, Coco, well, is that Coco? Oh, yeah.
Can I ask what your books of the year are then this year, or this half of the year?
Books of the year. Who wants to go first? Because I'm thinking of what mine is.
I am currently reading What a Mother's Love Can Do, published in about August, I think it'll be published.
Okay.
I cannot remember the author. And I actually had a day off, which is rare, and my daughter, who works in the bookshop with me, shoved this in my hand and said, take that with you, go and sit somewhere and read that. And it just had me from page one. I'm trying to remember who it's published by.
Why did it have you from page one?
It's a story of a woman in Jamaica who's gives up her son to a couple that a white couple or mixed couple that she works for, believing that they'll stay in Jamaica and she'll see her son be raised, and they disappear. And then years later, she thinks her son has come back, and we don't know if it's his son. But it's so rich in the dialogue and the way it looks at kind of life in Jamaica and the differences and all the layers kind of Jamaican life. But it's amazing. But also my other book of the year has been Wahala, because I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Okay.
I'm going to sit on the fence because my to-be-read pile is ridiculous at the moment. So I'm hoping to spend the summer working my way through that.
Do you want to tell us what play that your favourite play of the year?
Sure. I feel like you put me on the spot there.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm looking forward to watching The Fellowship tonight, which is about Windrush generation families and how they cope with that, and that's at Hampstead Theatre.
I'm reading old books, and I'm in a bubble living in Jamaica, so I don't know. But while I'm here in London, I will explore. Perhaps I'll come to Brighton.
Sorry.
I don't know if it's from this year, but I read recently Open Water, and was so in love with that book. And it's set where I grew up, in Brixton, in South London. All the music references. It reminded me of falling in love again and being those people, those characters. It's just beautifully written. So I'd say Open Water.
We had Caleb at our supper club talking about Open Water, and it is one of the most surreal experiences of my life. It just 8 people and Caleb, just beautiful.
Lovely. Thank you for that question. Are there any others? We've got 1 minute. Just one over there.
Hi. First, I just want to say, thank you for everything you guys are doing. I mean, just as a young Black girl currently entering the publishing space, it's very important for me to see people that look like me or have shared experiences. My question is, currently right now on the social media side, from what I understand, especially TikTok, we're kind of engaging with conversations, removing ourselves from a lot of Black trauma text. We're kind of looking more at Black romance, fantasy, self-discovery, books like that. And I feel I don't know what all your relationships are with social media. Have you guys thought about engaging with TikTok and stuff like that? maybe content creators, maybe me. I just think what you guys do is incredible, and I feel like there's a real space that you guys can create, especially with the content creators there. I mean, we've got like queer Nigerian creators, we've got Somali creators, we've got North, East, West, South, everywhere. And I feel like you guys would really do incredibly well there as well.
Wait, what's your name?
Oh, Coco.
Okay, just Coco, guys.
Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
creator. She's looking for more work. So, remember that. We have lots of social media. So we have a TikTok page and an Instagram page and a Twitter page and a Facebook page. And the best decision I ever made was last year was giving that job to someone else to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're just dipping our toes into reels and trying to work it out. And we've just done a cute post this morning about books from South London and we used a Dave track called Streatham. So we're just trying to have fun with it. We don't want to take it too seriously, but very interested in exploring the space and working with you. So I'll come and find you later. But yeah, we're just open to trying new things, really. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.